This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Picard as Indiana Jones.
Hello, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show that belongs in a museum. My name is Gep, and I'm joined as always by my friend and co-host Dr. Izix.
Hi.
And this week we've got fan favorite something.
Fan service, you might say?
Yeah, we got fan favorite fan service. Some of it's fan service, some of it is like a good fun episode with a character that everyone likes. Mm-hmm. So I guess you get both things.
Yes, Sovak is delightful, isn't he?
Yeah. he keeps returning. They keep using different names for him, funnily enough.
Just slowly
he does
evolving.
keep returning.
Quark reveals in a tell-all biography about the Grand Negus. Well, he didn't always used to be called Rom, but let me tell you here.
Yeah, started his career as a low-level archaeological smuggler.
Well, hopefully he doesn't get up to too many shenanigans in the future, but we'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't think we ever hear of this guy again, but no, you'll understand the jokes when we get to the cast list.
Indeed. So should we do that now, or should we meander a little bit?
I don't know. We can get to things. This is called Captain's Holiday. It's the episode that everybody remembers where we get the archaeology side of Picard.
Mm-hmm.
It's been mentioned a little bit, but like this definitely coalesces itself into Picard's main like side hustle.
Yes. So, all the previous archaeology stuff we've touched upon is irrelevant, but now he's going to be all like, I want to dig up stuff and look at old statues.
So this episode, like most of the good episodes from this part of the series, was written by Iris Stephen Bear, who is the guy that did DS9.
Mm-hmm.
Did we mention he does DS9? Because he's most known for doing DS9.
Of our 53 episodes, and was like one of the producers and stuff like that. So, if you remember the episode The Negus, or The Ascent, or Favor of the Bold, or The Search Part 2, etc., etc. I could keep going on for a while.
Yeah, he also, I guess, is known, according to his internet stuff, for writing on Sci-Fi's Alphas and the Crash TV show, which are not as well remembered.
Yeah, there's also the 4400.
Oh yeah, which is such a
and Alphas.
I get that confused with the Alphas, I think.
And Outlander. And Bob Patterson. Wait, that's not science fiction. Probably. Also Fame.
I liked the idea of a lot of these like Sci-Fi Channel original series shows and things, and then I either never got a chance to see many of them, or the parts that I did see of them were really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the idea that they exist.
So yeah, they're trying. They're maybe not doing very well, but they're trying.
So this episode is definitely has way too many guest stars and side actors. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a truncation, because I really appreciate the acting efforts of every one of the 20 background women in tiny swimsuits, but they aren't as important to the plot.
True. Except for the ones we talked to.
Yeah. There's also, to be fair, some guys in tiny swimsuits hanging around in the background too. They tried to be a little bit equal with it.
But the guy swimsuits were not nearly as small.
No. It's like you take the same amount of fabric, and then you just don't have to worry about covering the top half.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it's economical and one size fits all, sort of. I don't know.
So we've got several one-offy characters.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Michael Chapman is playing someone called Boratus, who is one of the time aliens we are going to encounter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a singer who released a single called Love Burns Like a Fire Inside.
Are you sure that's not herpes?
Yeah, might be.
Well, we've technically seen this guy before in Total Recall.
Ah, yeah.
He was some guy named Helm.
Yeah, I saw that pop up. All the interesting stuff that was written about him was music, because he was a member of a band called Scorpion, and he worked on Meatloaf's debut album. As a character actor, he was, had side roles in like Total Recall, like we said, Diagnosis Murder, Matlock,
The Swordsman, Father Dowling Mysteries,
1990s Flash, which is one of my favorite superhero TV shows. A History of the World Part 1. I didn't get around to seeing History of the World Part 2.
Prehistoric Man. Well, right before that, he was in Holy Moses.
I don't know what that is. It could be similar. Sounds like something Mel Brooks would make.
I suspect his character didn't turn out so well at the end for that one, because he was a sentry at Sodom, so,
Ooh, no. But, we also have Karen Landry as Amber, who's the other time alien.
Amber, Azure,
I don't know,
there's an A and there's a J in there. They're in a weird location.
Yeah, Amjur, I don't know. I can't even remember when they introduced themselves.
It's like, we're here.
She's best known for being on Saint Elsewhere. She had appearances on MASH and Highway to Heaven, which sounds less interesting than Highway to Hell, honestly.
Yes. It features the one guy with the big hair, or the late 80s at that point. And it was like, I have no idea what this show is actually about, but I keep seeing commercials for it. What?
So if the path to hell is paved with good intentions, is the highway to heaven paved with bad intentions?
Bad intentions or big hair.
That's very 80s. Bad intentions with big hair.
Also in Supertramp, Brother, Where Are You Bound? It's a music video.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So both aliens have musical connections.
Then we have the guy that we keep alluding to. Max Gordenchik plays Sovak. He is going to be known for DS9.
Yes, surprise.
DS9, where he plays Rom.
The Ferengi. The brother
Before
of Quark.
this, he had small roles in other shows like Night Court. He was one of the generic goon bad guys in The Rocketeer.
It's Wilmer. Barton Fink.
That guy had a name?
No. Barton Fink was a different show. But Wilmer was his character in The Rocketeer.
I mean, yeah. I didn't know that guy had a name. Doesn't he just die really early on? I thought he was one of the early mobsters who just dies in like the opening scene.
Maybe. Yeah, he'll come back in The Next Generation as Par Lenore, another Ferengi.
Yeah, they are very, very dedicated to making these Ferengi makeups one time.
Yep, just slight modifications to to make them. But this is technically a different Ferengi because we painted it slightly different.
It's like I can't blame them. Like they are really doing stuff with the makeup on this show. This one of the reasons this show still holds up really surprisingly well is because they had good makeup and their model effects were just superb.
Now there's model effects from the same general area that's just like kind of laughable in comparison, and even holding up to like current days CGI craziness. It's like this is actually like better. So
yeah,
sure, the perspective's all weird, but that's just that part of the art.
That just happens. But why can't we make CGI look as good as a model that they filmed with a fixed camera in the 80s?
Good question. Oh, he's also in Sister Act.
Our main new character is Jennifer Hedrick, who is debuting as the fan favorite character who only gets to show up 3 times, which happens on a lot of these characters that you remember being like really popular and showing up so often are often in like 2 or 3 episodes.
Indeed.
She is playing Vash.
Not Vash the Stampede, but Vash.
Yeah, Vash.
A little different, probably.
She doesn't need a last name.
Yes, this is the future where you're allowed to not have last names if you like.
So her first credit I could find was on the show General Hospital in the mid-60s.
Yes,
She then made a film debut in '79 on a heavy quotes comedy called Squeeze Play,
yes.
which mostly looks like it was attractive women in really short baseball outfits.
So I guess League of Their Own, but more misogynist?
Yeah. League of Their Own, but if it was from the perspective of the guys who were catcalling them in the stands, it seems what it looks like.
I guess Squeeze Play is sort of a preamble to the 80s team comedy nonsense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much in that vein. I do love a dumb 80s teen comedy from time to time. They're not great.
Yeah. It's like, popcorn, but the popcorn's kind of stale, but you want to eat it anyway.
Yep. Star Trek is probably her best known role at the moment. She has a reoccurring character on LA Law. She's got one-offs later in the X-Files and Sliders and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
And Perversions of Science, which was a curious show.
I don't think I've even heard of that one.
It was on HBO, and it's sort of in the it was in the genre of kind of lewd shows, but they're not pornos, but they're like tahi. We got some occasional nudity and some sex gags and things like that. And then we're gonna have it's an anthology show, so we got different things. And at this point, we got this guy having a weird thing, and then he hops into a escape pod from the prison ship he's been in, and then suddenly he gets to Earth, and it turns out he's Hitler.
Sure.
Surprise! So yeah, it was an anthology show. That
Perversions of Science sounds a lot more like Perversions of Plot.
Yeah, the perversions were the occasional nudity, mostly for one story that had a sex robot. And then the rest was just kind of like, we're just kind of doing whatever, I guess.
So there's a reason that the only sci-fi anthology shows anyone ever remembers are Twilight Zone and Outer Limits.
Yes. This one, I guess the pitch was we wanted more sex in those shows, so we're going to do our own with blackjack and hookers.
I randomly came across at a used bookstore once a DVD that was like some weird uncensored version of every Outer Limits show that could have had nudity but was cropped out for general broadcasting.
Huh.
So Outer Limits had its fair share of weird sexy episodes.
True. But in Perversions of Science, you could have an exposed breast, and there you go. And that's the thing. That's the thing that draws the audience in.
Yeah. Boobs.
Oh, and back to Jennifer Hedrick here. She was also in 500 Days of Summer, which I've heard about but have not actually seen. But also Party of Five, which I have seen an episode of and was disappointed. And so on and so forth.
500 Days of Summer was fine. People didn't understand it was supposed to be somewhat of a satire of that kind of romance movie, or at least a mild critique. Can't remember it well enough to say whether it was supposed to be full satire or just critique. But anyway, people took it too seriously and then started leveling Manic Pixie Dream Girl accusations at it.
So I guess people need to chill out some more.
Yeah. Or maybe just pay attention to the plot of something before you start criticizing it too much. Yeah. There's definite things to criticize, but that's not one.
Ooh, CBS School Break Special.
Oh, what is that?
It's a school break special. I think it's not quite an anthology show, but I don't know. Anyway, is anybody else?
Nope, that was all of our actual people with mostly speaking roles. There's one person who tries to proposition Picard later, but
can't blame her.
She only shows up for one scene.
Background Andorian, one of two we observe in the TNG era.
Yeah, the Andorians were strangely absent for a while.
Yes. Yeah, they were busy chilling out on their planet.
It's cold there. I see what you did.
Yep. Oh, another background actor is Michael Dorn, actually, apparently. He was just took off the makeup and just wandered around the background on the planet.
Oh, well, that sounds like a fun trivia thing to look for.
Yeah.
Now I have to rewatch this. Find Michael Dorn.
Like the first half of the episode, I guess.
So we begin on a paradise planet, which looks like sort of a mediumly priced hotel.
Mm-hmm. Fairly spacious, but, nothing fancy.
2 aliens appear. These are the time aliens, Amjur and Bortus. Or Ajur, Amjur, I don't know. I'm never saying their names again.
Call them A and B if you have to.
Enjoy it now. They're looking for Captain Picard. He's not here, but he will be.
Dun dun dun. They could see the future.
Ah, the time aliens, you see. So on the Enterprise, Picard and Troy return from a grueling negotiation, and Picard is in a bad mood. Troy thinks he needs a vacation, but as captain, he would never do such a thing.
Well, is it because you're secretly afraid that Riker will be better at it than you, Captain?
Yep.
Is that the secret?
Like, what if I find out that the ship can function fine without me?
Terrible. Oh no, I'll be superfluous. I'll be that Captain Ensel thing that was referenced in the original series.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you have to make yourself indispensable as captain, like Kirk, who would just kill anyone that tried to take over.
But Kirk's also the sort of guy that if you're just walking down the hallway on the Enterprise, he might look at you and then just get in a fist fight with you for no reason. So,
Yeah, this guy looked at me funny. I'm like, yes, Captain, that is the right thing to do. We totally don't think you're taken over by an alien.
He didn't fist fight me today. That was weird.
So Crusher tries to convince Picard he needs a break, but she's not willing to give him an order, so he refuses to take her advice. Riker similarly pressures him with recommendations of Risa, but Picard is now getting annoyed. Mm-hmm. So just everybody stop this. He needs to stay on board anyway because they need to go into space dock and have week-long refit and repairs, and he needs to supervise.
Last time there was a lengthy refit thing going on for the Enterprise. The ship kind of got stoled by some Binars.
Yeah, and as we will see, this is not the only time bad things happen when they have to go in for repairs. Troy comes with some good news since they're going to be at this space station. Her mother just told her she's going to be able to visit them while they're doing the refit. But unfortunately, Picard is going to be on vacation, so he won't be here to spend any time with her.
That's convenient, Picard.
As Picard prepares for his trip, he packs books and a lot of things that you would want for a beach planet. And Riker asks him to pick him up a souvenir, something called a horta, which will be easy to find because there are 10,000 billion of them on this planet.
I believe the pronunciation's Horgon, the horta where the silicon aliens from
right.
One Planet, the Devil in the Dark.
A Horgon. Yeah.
It's even more awkward to say. There's a lot of weird words in this episode that are just sort of like assigned, The
Horgons, which are relatives of the Horta. Just a lot sexier. So Picard arrives on Risa and is immediately bumped into by a woman who starts making out with him.
Well, I guess he's going to get some action this trip.
Oh, this is exactly what was advertised, so doesn't really seem that out of place, honestly.
This is the planet of sexiness, so getting a kiss 10 seconds after you land, well, it fits with the theme here.
Yeah, we see that she is probably making out with him though to avoid notice by a nearby Ferengi.
Ferengi notices them anyway.
Oh no! And when the Ferengi leaves, she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else. Bye."
Well, is it going to be as awkward as my clones saying goodbye to Beverly Crusher last time?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, those 2 aliens from before are hanging around.
But, it's Star Trek. You see weird aliens on any planet, really. So,
Yeah, nobody's going to notice that.
Yeah.
Picard tries to enjoy his vacation, and he keeps getting bothered by attractive women asking if they can help him. Finally, one of the people offers to make his trip more pleasant, and he gets frustrated. And she tells him that the Horgon that he got for Riker means he's looking for something called Jamaharon, which we do not get an explanation for, but it's very, very obvious what is.
Yes, it is obviously a game like backgammon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And not
like
sex
Twister.
at all. Twister in the future gets really complicated. You see, there's some more dimensions.
They don't want to give an explanation, I guess, because this was a network show.
Mm-hmm.
But she goes like, "Oh, you're looking for Jamaharon. You see, the Horgon is the Ryzen symbol for sexuality. So when you display it, it means you're looking for sexuality. Yep. So even though I used a made-up word, I've also said sexuality like 5 times."
Yeah, but, you didn't say sex, so it's technically different.
Yeah, we've just implied very heavily that it means that I want to jump you. Mm-hmm. But since I didn't say I want to jump you...
And, so just sort of implied offerings.
Everybody who keeps offering if they can do something for him seems to be an employee of the resort, which also raises some interesting questions about Ryza and how this whole vacation planet works.
Well, maybe if Ryza's part of the Federation, they can tune into the post-capitalism utopianness here. But perhaps the Ryzans view getting it on as a benefit to a job like that. That's how they get paid.
This is the thing, and I want to be very clear about this, because I am not saying that this is negative, because this hotel and entire planet seems to be made up largely of sex workers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a very reasonable thing for people to want to do, especially in a post-scarcity society where there's absolutely no question of it being coercive because you aren't using currency or money and everyone has everything that they need.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I always have with things like this is that Star Trek keeps making a big frickin' deal about how sex open and whatever everyone can be in the future. But it's still definitely a 80s, early 90s show, which means the entire vibe of everything else happening means that we are definitely supposed to think that sex is bad, and therefore sex work is bad.
Yeah.
But then they keep throwing stuff like this in without examining it or undermining the expectations they've set up enough for you to not think that it's bad. So it's a really strange dichotomy that they've set up for themselves.
Yeah. So, if Picard were to say yes, then does that make him now the bad person? It's really muddled, actually.
Yeah, it's completely muddled. And since you're not allowed to talk openly about it, especially with that, this like post-scarcity society actually removes any argument against sex work being a bad thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Those arguments, like the way that people make those arguments now, there's not a ton of validity to many of them. But this completely removes any argument that it could be bad, because there's no possible way you could be coerced into this situation.
Like, well, if I wanted to, study advanced physics and FTL drives of various sorts, that's an option for me instead of, hanging out at the hotel and trying to get laid with everybody.
Yeah. But if you want to do that, you can, because it's a post-scarcity society. And you can do literally anything you want, and no one's going to starve you to death.
Exactly. So, both these are valid options. So, have at it.
So, Picard covers the Horgon, but this time he is bothered again, even though he covered the damn thing. And this time it's by a Ferengi. And he's like, they're not my type, sorry.
Well, if it'll make people go away, I guess I can Jamal her own, the next person shows up. Oh, this Ferengi. I don't like Ferengi. Dang it.
They have so many fucking made-up words for sex in this show. Your Jamaharojing, your Umox. So, the Ferengi, Sovak, demands a disc. Picard has no idea what he's talking about, of course, and he eventually leaves. And then the woman from before appears, introduces herself as Vash, and has something to do with this Ferengi, which Picard wants nothing to do with, so he leaves, because neither of them will leave him the hell alone.
So, you're trying to get me pulled into something weird, and I'm here for a vacation, and I'm trying to read Ulysses or something like that, and, go away.
So before he fully separates himself from the situation, Sovak appears again and goes, "Ha! I knew you were in cahoots." Picard goes, "Oh, good God. I'm out of here. Like, screw both of you." But not before Vash slips something into his pocket.
Is it a disc? Is it a...
It's very disc adjacent. It, in fact, looks like one of those strange early version CD players where you had to put the CD into
like
another enclosure and then put that enclosure into the CD drive.
Yes. One of my family's early computers had a CD drive like that. And so we're always a little paranoid. Don't lose that. We don't really have another one. We have to find one.
I know, and they don't sell. They definitely do not sell replacements for those things.
Yeah.
Though Sovek offers to pay Vosh lots and lots of very useless gold.
Mm-hmm. Because this is before we've established gold pressed latinum as a thing. What do we have for temptations of money? Gold?
And she just leaves because gold is useless.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's very funny that they decided for some reason that they had to say gold was so common that no one cared about it anymore. But they have all these references to gold, so they just made up gold pressed latinum so that you can go back and remember, every time that they said gold, they were just abbreviating.
I guess. So there is, of course, the alternatives they could have gone with other than gold. That's still a shiny yellowish material. Cesium.
Doesn't that explode or something?
Yep. So having pure cesium would be a valuable material for currencies. You just put it in a little capsule and hope no one breaks it.
Yeah, instead of an ink packet at the bank, you steal a lot of cesium, and then when you try to open it, it just blows you up.
Yep.
Picard goes back to his room, where there are two aliens who are probably looking for Jamaharon if this episode is going to continue.
So, what? You guys just sneaking in people's rooms now to ask about Jamaharon? What do I have to do to get you guys to leave me alone?
So they are here to tell him about their time travel mission. They intend to find the Taxitat.
Is that a euphemism for Jamaharon?
Probably. Somebody just had too much fun mashing syllables together this episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is a super weapon from the future that was left in the past.
In the 22nd century, I hear. Wasn't that during the adventures of Jonathan Archer? Wait, you're for the future. Wait, I keep hearing about this temporal Cold War that apparently never happened, but might happen in the future, but might never happen. Is it something attached to that?
Probably. I mean, I'm sure that someone's written a book about this.
Retroactive continuity strikes again.
I was always very disappointed that they went with the prequel angle for after Voyager and went to Enterprise instead of making a 90s style Star Trek that was about the temporal Starfleet that we see in Voyager a couple of times.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Because that seems like it'd be... Well, not only would it have been really interesting, all of the best Star Trek episodes are dumb time travel episodes. And the entire reason that they had dumb time travel episodes was so that they could use the cheaper pre-existing historical sets. So it seems like everything would have lined up.
Star Trek time space cops adventure activates or something like that.
I know. Just imagine Time Cop, but mixed with 90s era Star Trek.
And occasionally they go back in time and they find themselves in another show.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Instead, we got Archer dealing with the temporal Cold War, where various wrinkly aliens fight Hitler.
Yeah. Or we could have
that looked like the premise of a bad sci-fi TV show there. Like that entire arc where they go back in time and aliens are all dressed in Nazi uniforms. That was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I guarantee you something like that was on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, I can believe it. When we eventually get there, we can bitch specifically about the giant turd that plot wrinkle was sort of left at the end of. The season 3 there, and just in time for Manny Coda to take over.
Yeah, I know. We can complain, but I want to bitch now.
If you like.
All right, so where the fuck were we? Picard went to his room. There's aliens. There's a toxitot. There's temporal shit going on. Weapon from the future. Yada yada yada. Picard visits Vash because he found a disc in his pocket that he assumes is the disc that they all have been on and on about.
Mm-hmm. So let's since you are trying to get me pulled into this, and now I have a mention of a legendary thing from the future with some aliens. Maybe there is something to this that I should get involved with, I guess.
Oh, yeah, turns out Sovek's been searching her room, and it's trashed now, which is why she dropped the disc on Picard. Picard goes, this wouldn't have something to do with the Toxu-Tot, would it? She says, oh, you know your shit.
Mm-hmm. Did you decode my disc thing? What's going on?
So it turns out she worked for a guy by the name of Professor Estragon, which keeps spell checking to estrogen.
Well, that's fine. He could be Professor Estrogen.
Who was looking for the Toxu-Tot for years, and he just now died, and she took the disc with all of his notes and a map that shows exactly where the thing is, and it's on Risa. So apparently the guy died right before the culmination of his life's work.
In Enterprise, they do drop by Risa.
Yeah. They keep everything out of continuity in that show. It's always my problem with prequels. They can never frickin' leave their hands off of but we mentioned this thing before. What if we show that? Mm-hmm. What if we show the origins of this thing? The entire series is just that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen meme.
Except the stuff where they just completely invert what makes sense, but anyway.
So Sovek sometimes assisted the professor. So in twisted Ferengi logic, he's decided that means that the UTOP belongs to him. So now Vash and Picard decide that they need to go out and get it before the Ferengi can.
And a weapon of star system destruction is maybe something not to put in the hands of someone who's going to sell it to the highest bidder, because they might sell it to someone terrible.
Yeah. They probably will, because terrible people have more money.
Yeah.
Than
let's
the people
fix
who
that.
don't use any money.
Yeah. Federation, I applaud your post-capitalism stuff, but, you could have just, instead of destroying all the money, just hid it away to try to keep terrible people from buying things by buying it yourself instead.
Yeah. We don't use it, but you obviously want this, so...
We have 80 trillion of various currencies. How much of that you need?
So Picard and Vash change out of their swimsuits into archaeological gear and get ready to head out. Sovek interrupts them with a gun, which is apparently not allowed, but Rise is very bad at checking for weapons.
Mm-hmm. I guess they maybe were better at it at one point, but now everyone's on the honor system.
Yeah. So Picard just punches him and grabs the gun, and then just tosses it into some bushes, which will be an issue later.
Yeah, or let's get rid of this weapon in the sloppiest way imaginable and not tell anyone that there's a problem. This guy's carrying a weapon.
Yeah, just take him away.
Yeah.
So Picard and Vash get to a cave. They are apparently about halfway out, so it's time for camping. Mm-hmm. They talk a bit, leads Vash to admitting that she did in fact steal the disc from Sovek, so he does have a bit of a point, but also he's a backstabbing Ferengi who's trying to kill them, so maybe it's even.
Yeah. It's he's kind of a shady character, and, doing bad things to bad people, that's okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did a bad thing to him, he did a bad thing to us, we did a bad thing, it's fine. Don't worry about it, it's Ferengis.
It's all balancing out, right? Yes.
Yeah. Ferengis are the moral exemption to the universe. You don't have to worry about doing anything bad to a Ferengi.
Especially at this point in time, where we got the full bias of these guys kind of suck going on, especially with Picard.
So Picard wants to get some sleep, but Vash has other ideas. Shamaharon-related ideas.
Oh! So do we finally get to see Picard get some action? Hooray!
I mean, we do, but it's still a TV show,
So it's not explicit, alas.
We fade. So the next morning, they go to another cave that looks a lot like the last cave, because it's a Star Trek cave.
It's like cave sets. We got 5 of them. We just change out the pieces.
And there's some sort of stuff that's blocking the scanners, because it's a Star Trek cave. Lower decks covered this already.
Man, everything important is hidden behind some mineral we can't scan through, guys. What's up with that?
So what they need to do is dig with their dirty human hands, like peasants.
Yeah. Maybe you guys should invent backhoes. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, just digging machines, something.
I know weapons aren't allowed, but maybe there's a low energy phaser sort of device you could have checked out to do some excavation.
Yeah, a lot of little point and shoot tiny short range transporters.
There we go. Oh, heck, just a really big transporter, and then it filters out everything you don't want and leaves what's behind.
Yeah, that's going to beam out everything that is dirt and not anything that is not dirt.
Man, future could be awesome, but they're bad.
Be.
But someone's not being very imaginative here.
No, because you need shovels if you're going to dig in dirt. God.
Also, it sounds like the floor of this cave is just solid rock.
Yeah, but they have little tiny emergency shovels like you get in military backpacks.
Yeah, this is going to be really hard, isn't it?
Yeah. So the aliens are here. They were waiting for you to discover the thing so they can take the thing. Then Sovak gets here with his gun because you didn't throw it very far.
Yep. It's I'm just going to toss it over here. I'll be able to wander around and find it or,
So now everybody's here. And Sovak's kind of like, who are these two? It doesn't matter. I have the gun. No.
So yeah, Sovak should maybe, I don't know, threaten these new guys as well and tell them to do things too. But yeah, I don't know. He's just I'm just going to ignore these guys because I don't know who they are.
So they dig, and they dig, and they dig. And after several hours of digging, it's very obvious that there's nothing here. So Picard refuses to dig anymore. And he and Vosh just leave, and Sovik starts digging himself. And the two aliens are confused and also just leave, but with transporter thingies.
Yes. They got little things they click on the side of their head that's kind of cool, but, would also seem kind of invasive in terms of surgery.
Yeah, this is the future Elon Musk wants.
Where everything's terrible, and but you can teleport sometimes.
So they get back to the resort. Vosh wants to be alone because she's sad about wasting her life.
Well, I guess we can have dreams that are crushed occasionally. That's fine. But hey, do you want to join us on a starship?
No, because regulations and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Following some rules is hard.
She would hate following rules. She's a rebel.
A rebel with an archaeology cause.
So Picard starts packing, then gets some sort of idea. He contacts Riker to tell him that he's ready to return soon, but they should be prepared for transporter code 14. What's that? We don't know, but they all seem a bit concerned about it.
Oh no! Transporter code 14! Are you certain, sir? That could, shift the subspace compensators. And then, cause
or other things.
Yeah. Make and it will beam away your shorts, and that'll be awkward.
So Picard finds Vosh leaving. He wants to know where the Utah is. He knows that she went to get it before they even started because seeing it wasn't there was the only way that Sovak would leave her alone.
Yep. Makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So she grabs a hollowed out Horgot, whatever it was.
Horgon,
there we are.
the Jamaha statue.
Have the wrong thing written down. So she grabs a hollowed out Horgon with a big crystal in its head.
Is that a data crystal? This is Babylon 5.
All future things are crystals. I don't know when we decided this, but we somehow collectively decided that all future things are crystals.
I think it was 1978 when the Doctor was trying to hunt down the key of time.
Ah, okay. At least we can trace it back. Star Trek stuff is crystals. They keep talking about how stuff is written on crystals, but they don't have spiky crystals. And then Babylon 5 has crystals, and then Stargate is mostly crystals.
And those are control crystals, not
those
data
are
crystals.
Pointy crystals, though, so that you can tell they're crystals instead of the obviously much more standardized lab-grown crystals that they use on Star Trek.
Yes. The Stargate crystals are always kind of fun because it's all right, so you just kind of rearrange these and it does a thing. Okay.
Somehow, yeah. You open up a tray and there's just a bunch of pointy rocks in it, and you move the pointy rocks around. this somehow accomplishes something. I don't think that most things you'd be able to just open it up and switch where the motherboard and the general processor are, and it would do something completely different. But obviously we're dealing with something else here.
Yes, it's like they're all color coded, and shape coded, and it's like moving around programs as opposed to motherboards, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like the only thing that I like is when they have the little sticky things that they just poke onto the crystals to try to explain how they're interfacing a laptop with crystal technology.
Yep. This stuff doesn't make sense, but the laptop does, so we'll just shortcut.
2 aliens also appear. Whole gang's here. Whole gang is demanding the crystal.
Well, except for Sovak, he's still digging.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we don't know what he's doing. We assume he's still digging. He digs till the end of time.
Yep.
Because it's a commentary on obsession. Mm-hmm. Picard goes, but how do I know that I can trust you two? And Vosh goes, wait a minute. The professor's notes said that 2 aliens were the ones who tried to steal the thing in the first place, and that's the reason it was hidden in the past.
So these Vorgons might be bad people. So show me your credentials. I need your forms filled out in triplicate to make sure that you're not baddies.
Yeah. Show me a photo ID. One from the future doesn't count.
See, Vosh, having rules and regulations can be useful.
So Picard decides to screw it. He orders transporter code 14 on his location, drops the crystal, and runs. Because transporter code 14 apparently means blow up whatever you hit.
Yep. And he specified, it's at my current location. So it's not going to follow his comm badge, hopefully. And so he could just drop it there and move out of the way. So, hooray.
So the crystal explodes. The alien time travels go, ah, history said you blew it up. Oh, well, bye.
Well, thankfully they're not time travelers that could undo this whole plot and redo it in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know. They might have trapped themselves in some sort of temporal causality loop by continually to change this thing that their history says already happened.
Yeah. So, it could be a bad time for them, potentially.
So, Picard and Vosh say goodbye by making out. Picard returns to the ship, where he does admit that he had a really good vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got Jamaharoned.
Yeah.
And, Riker's like, yeah.
This is very unimportant and unrelated, but this thing at the end just randomly reminded me of the DC Comics show Legends of Tomorrow.
Today.
Had an episode where they tried to stop the Archduke from being assassinated and therefore preventing World War One. And it's the way that fixed points in time that are too important to be changed work in that universe is there's just this magic protector guy who kills anyone who tries to change it. And the entire episode is focused around the fact that the time traveling people have even set up a bar outside of the place where people can just go take turns trying to do this, and everyone watches because it's a thing that everybody tries to do and no one can do, and it's just sort of become a time traveler tourist destination to watch people try to do this.
That's kind of amazing, actually.
It is.
There's a comic that goes around occasionally, which is of a similar vein of it's now, don't you get annoyed by all the time travelers showing up trying to kill you? Well, thankfully, there's always somebody else shows up to stop them. Would be nice though if they just tell me what they
entire string of time travelers coming to kill the one that's trying to kill you, that's trying to kill him, that's trying to kill him.
It would be nice if they would just tell me what I'm supposed to have done wrong in the future. Or the one from the Subnormality comic of maybe I'm starting to think this Third Reich is a terrible thing because at no other point has anyone ever had to deal with so many time travelers coming back in time to kill their leader.
That would be kind of funny. It's we're pretty sure that this is a bad decision because 3 time travelers have tried to kill us off so far.
Yeah, time travel, not even once, unless you have Templar cylinder. Anyway.
This is Captain's Holiday, which is the one that everyone remembers because it has Vosh in it and for no other particular reason.
Main plot is not super important for anything. It's all right, we're doing some shenanigans to throw people off our trail and figure out what's actually going on, sort of stuff. But other than that, yeah, just kind of there. Right in the middle Star Trek.
It's mostly just very standard. You go on a little adventure, and that's about it. Vosh is fun. Vosh is a really fun character, and that's why people remember this.
I suppose, the you could sort of call this maybe the best of the Vosh episodes as well, because there's some quirkiness about the episode Cupid, which is later, and the DS9 one that just kind of, it's like, all right, well, there's some weird mischaracterization of Q going on here that is a little baffling. And there's maybe some things they could have done much differently to make a more interesting story, but okay. It's sort of not quite farce level stuff here, but it's sort of in the neighborhood.
Yeah, Cupid's a bit... I don't know why they wrote that, and we'll get there.
Well, we want to bring back Vosh. What can we do?
You couldn't write another, archaeology-focused episode or anything. You just have to decide to throw everyone together into Robin Hood for some reason.
Yeah, so you could have done that with a holodeck episode.
Yeah.
Or
maybe, like we were saying, it's because the sets are cheaper.
We'll just go out into a forest, and that'll be good enough, and we'll make use of a castle set. Hooray! Yeah, I don't really have much, heady stuff to talk about with this one. I guess we could talk about what it would take to destroy a star, but...
introducing something that would poison the atomic fission reaction. A lot of iron.
Yeah. If it's some device that spontaneously, basically turns up the fusion reaction, so key parts of the star suddenly start, going straight to iron as opposed to, dealing with all the hydrogen first, then that could maybe be something there, but how to set up something like that could also stand the internal temperature of a star is a little weird.
Well, that's the question. Does it have to stand the internal temperature of the star? I know it would probably be a ton, and that's probably why all these things are it's this tiny amount of stuff are all the star weapons. But in theory, if you could just shoot a several ton block of iron into the sun, it would burn up and it would get caught in there. But wouldn't it still be in there?
Oh,
Wouldn't the burning it up and melting it and atomizing it not prevent there being a ton more poisonous iron in the middle of the star than there was before?
Yeah, that is true, but it's a matter of scale. You don't, a ton of iron is basically, not even a drop in the bucket. The whole planet is a drop in a bucket.
Yeah, we probably don't have enough on Earth to do this.
Yes.
But, it doesn't seem like it's so much a matter of getting it in there as a matter of how much you need to get in there.
Yes. So I guess in terms of fantastic science, you'd have to go a whole other way where, you're using subspace or something like that to have all the pressure and energy that drives the fusion reaction at the center of the star being basically dumped somewhere else so that it's not able to actually get things to fuse properly. And then that process that would, stop the fusion process would then take a while for the star to actually start showing signs that something was wrong as things, progress there. So it won't be a instantaneous explosion. It'd be more of a slow motion implosion.
Yeah. Because the explosion would seem to indicate that you've done something to detonate the rest of the hydrogen.
Yeah. Or, maybe the trick is to actually not dilute the hydrogen mixture or to dump the energy somewhere else, but to actually amplify the fusion process to make it easier for a star to fuse. And so then it runs through the full course, hydrogen, helium, to lithium, etc. Very short amount of time.
Yeah, because it always is explained by we're going to interrupt the fusion process inside of a star. But if you increased it, then you would pass the, I don't know what that there. I heard this recently, which is why I was trying to think of it. But whichever theoretical line there is between mass and explosion that keeps the star where it is instead of just blowing up.
Well, the short version is it's a pressure balance situation that if there was just fusion, then there would be an explosion. If there was just gravity, it would collapse down to a black hole. But when you got both, they balance out in terms of energy out, pressures and energy output and all of that. And so you get, main sequence stars just kind of like hang out for a while. But when you either they're running out of fuel or you have more unusual star situation, you have a misbalance of that, and so suddenly, you got fast burning, helium going through, and then lithium carbon fusion as well, and you get sort of a pulsing of the star's sort of structure as it tries to adjust to this, and where that balance is between outward pressure and inward gravitational pressure starts to change. And so when you get to the red giant phase where it's getting running low on fuel, the outward pressure is kind of dominating for a while until you run out of fuel, and then it collapses. Or you're a supergiant star and you're like, well, I'm just going to kind of get through that whole process real quick, and then kaboomies.
So stars are basically what you get if you take an explosion and then stop it from exploding halfway through, so it just sits there.
Yep. And that's why solar energy is fantastic, because it's actually atomic energy explosions. Whee! So, if anyone says that solar energy is not badass enough, they're wrong.
This can't get away from the only energy we ever get is from exploding things.
And to a certain degree, there's a certain amount of, we got our uraniums here, but that was probably generated originally in a supernova. Well, how about this fossil fuel? Well, that required this energy from the sun here, because all the plankton turned into oil later under pressure and energy and all that. And so that's originally from the sun as well. How about geothermal energy? Well, I guess you're getting a little better there, but anything that's that's not hydrogen that is inside the Earth has to have come from a star at some point. So that's also being generated by a star. Explosions.
So yeah, I think this episode is such a straightforward adventure episode. They're not really dealing with a lot of stuff. We've talked about time travel things before.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is a mildly interesting implication. This might not be interesting to anybody else, but I find archaeology kind of interesting. There's a somewhat interesting implication that they keep having in this show, that our archaeological practices have actually not changed particularly in the last 300 years. Because right now we have there's the one that springs to mind is that you have an archaeological idea that you're not supposed to completely excavate an archaeological site. You should always leave some of it undisturbed, because there will always be more and better technology. And if you have a fresh site that's never been dug before, then you can use your new and better technology and new and better methods to investigate and find out more stuff than if you have to come back with them after the fact, after everything's already been done.
Yeah.
But recently, they have been re-examining those because they found microplastics in previously undisturbed archaeological sites.
Uh-oh. Maybe things are seeping through.
Yeah, which means that you're already getting modern human contamination in these archaeological sites. So they're having to reevaluate what even counts as an undisturbed site anymore.
Yeah. So, if it's 50 feet under solid rock somehow, then maybe that's safe. But something that's a little less than that, well, you will have to maybe think about it and figure out and keep an eye out for those things seeping in.
Well, it does seem like eventually in the Star Trek future, eventually you'd probably want to go in, do an actual excavation, etc., etc. You have super advanced scanners, you have super advanced picture taking, you have all this stuff. You should be able to really easily, completely digitally recreate the site in a holodeck, do whatever you want to it, be able to reset it as many times as you feel like.
It's like, oh, yeah, if maybe this fell off here, well, you can pick it up and put it up there, and wait, no, that's not quite right. Maybe it came off from this other bit. Let's reset and try again.
The thing that I think is interesting, and Indiana Jones does this too, even though Indiana Jones doesn't need to because it's, set in the 40s when they didn't do good archaeology. But they keep having this interesting thing because, like, yeah, anybody will tell you that archaeologists shouldn't do stuff like this. You shouldn't move stuff. You shouldn't dig willy-nilly, etc. Most people even know that. Even people who aren't very interested in archaeology know that. Mm-hmm. So what they always do is say, yeah, but this is an ancient artifact of world-ending implications.
So maybe we should be a little bit more
we probably
eager about
should rush,
Yeah, if we don't, dig it up ourselves, the bad guys are going to take a backhoe to this situation, and well, they're going to get the multi-Jesus Hindu laser beam of alienness.
Which, like, I guarantee you is why Picard is an amateur archaeologist and not a professional. Because if he was an actual archaeologist, they would get to the world-ending atomic whatever the hell it is, and he would go, no, don't remove it from its context.
Anyone who does, well, they're going to be in trouble. Maybe as a thing to think about for the future here is, maybe, with the advanced technology of the TNG era, we could have like a stasis field you could set up around an archaeology site to basically freeze it in time forever. That will keep the world-ending whatchamajig, secure and safe, but also preserve the site for later.
Yeah, they just don't think through archaeology when they're writing TV shows, basically ever, which I always thought was kind of interesting because it shows you the way that people think about this, because they have to make it an evil artifact.
Yeah.
And it's just great because one of the things that you do when you're dealing with future archaeology, which is something that people love so much, you have future archaeology, right? Where humanity has gone to space and has future technology, all of this advanced stuff. So it's pretty reasonable to assume that other people had advanced stuff. So now you can do Atlantis without all of our messy Earth conspiracy theories because it's Space Atlantis.
Space Atlantis! We're getting back to...
Even though they keep making it Atlantis anyway. You had to get out of jail free card and you just wasted it.
Aldea. They were almost there, guys.
They keep freaking doing the like, oh, it seems like this ancient race of whatever's visited Earth and then did this other thing and did this other special thing and ancient aliens. It's like, stop that.
Yeah.
Just stop that. Anyway, we don't have time right now to get into ancient aliens. We'll do that in one of the other archaeology episodes.
Yes.
Again, because we've already done ancient aliens twice.
Yeah. Cuckoo God! And the Athenians, Plato's stepchildren people, and, the various gods, and why are you here, Apollo? I'm here to woo this lady. It's
like, you called us gods. It's like, oh my God, stop that. Kirk was like, so there. It's like, there's only one God in America.
And it's me. I mean, the one everyone worships. Yeah.
Anyway, we already did that. I don't think it was as good because we weren't very good at doing things back then, but we did do it.
Yeah. But, this time we had future ancient aliens.
Yeah, future ancient aliens save you all the trouble. You can have ancient aliens without the racist conspiracy theories that they're all linked to.
Yep.
But they keep refusing. They give themselves a pass, and then they decide not to use it.
Yeah, one of my favorite small details in Star Trek is that the Klingons were actually visited by some aliens before their rise to galactic dominance and things like that for a while. And these aliens were like complete jerk faces to the Klingons. And it's like, and then they just sort of like went away at some point. But apparently they were very powerful and very influential over this part of the galaxy for a while. And now they're just irrelevant or something like that. But it would be interesting to like do some digging into some of that at some point in terms of Star Trek, plot building and things like that, because that is, maybe a wonderful, like we want to do an Ancient Aliens things and we want to set it on, an alien world. Well, we already have this thing that's been established. So maybe we're going to go look for these guys that vanished one day and, see what happened. And maybe they're out there somewhere, or maybe something took them out and we should be worried about that. All sorts of things like that.
Yeah, they already have it set up since you have that. And you have the good old Klingon origin myth of we didn't think our gods were very useful, so we killed them.
Yep. It's a very Norse sort of vibe there. It's like, well, we're actually more badass than you, so take that, Thor.
What good is a god that dies?
Well, they were more trouble than they were worth.
Anyway, we don't have a lot to talk about because it's an adventure episode. This is why I didn't try to review adventure series.
Well, maybe we can find our own adventure.
Yeah. Also, I'm tired today. There's so much. I'm sorry. There's definitely frickin' stuff to dig into in these things. There's all kinds of questionable ethics. The way that things are written, I'm not trying to say there's never anything to talk about. But this is a fun adventure story, damn it.
Yeah, we can be more serious next time.
Yeah.
This episode's not serious.
Yeah, so we'll continue to not be serious. But the Galaxy's favorite game show!
Woo! Hey everybody, welcome to the Galaxy's favorite game show. We got several contestants here, though most the ship's crew is missing this time for most of the episode, so I guess we're going to have to focus on other folks for the moment here. Anyway, let's get started. The first prize is the beach episode prize, which goes to Picard and kind of everybody on Risa, because that's kind of what the first half of the episode is. Scantily clad people and looking all sexy and such. Yeah. So, if there's going to be nudity in TNG, this is the episode for it. What do they win, Gepwin?
They win a beach. They keep talking about beaches. Star Trek loves talking about beaches in all kinds of forms. We got gleaming beaches and singing beaches and diamond beaches and green sunset beaches and fire beaches. We never see a beach. we never get to the beach, ever.
I think
it's always a pool.
It's always a pool, yes. We do technically see a beach on a later Risa episode, but it's more of a, okay, we've seen the beach, now let's go back to the hotel situation.
Yeah.
Alas. Anyway, the second prize is the Time Warp prize, which goes to Azure and Moratus, the Vorgons, not to be confused with Vogons, they're slightly different, and that whole MacGuffin thing for the Tatsutat of the episode here, for coming from the future. What do they win, Gepwin?
They win doing a little more research and finding out about Star Trek Generations. Because, you can't get the super world-ending whatever star-collapsing weapon, but you could go whatever that guy had.
Yep. It's probably basically the same thing. It just, he didn't keep good notes and someone had to reinvent it later.
Yeah, so you could go steal one of those missiles and would work out fine.
Yeah. And Soren wouldn't care if, it's like, oh, I can work with future people to get what I want. Okay, I'll let you keep the design. And, I just need to make sure to use this one so I can get all sucked into a time-space fissure ribbon. Anyway, our final prize for this week is TV Love Story. We got ourselves a love triangle of deceit for Picard, Vosh, and Sovak. Perhaps a threesome would have been a better way to solve this whole thing rather than a bit of forced labor. What do they win, Gepwin?
They win their own archaeological adventure series with a will they won't they plotline, Indiana Jones in space. She was such a good character, and it's really a shame that they weren't trying to do spin-offs yet.
Because this would have been a golden opportunity. Well, that's all I got here. Gepwin, feel free to take us away.
Yes, thank you, and thank you all for joining us on this, the Galaxy's favorite game show! Next time, lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my. So, are you ready for a guest star taking over most of the episode?
I mean, it's because he's a good guest star.
It's an interesting sort of dynamic being sort of set up with him. I don't want to spoil it too much in case people are like watching along. So go watch the next episode and then finish the rest of this episode, the next one.
Yeah, we'll get to talk about neurodivergence. That'll be interesting. And you know, sure, it's a weird way they sort of, I guess, showcase it with Star Trek occasionally or all the time. But, you know, we got a sort of neurodivergent sort of thing going on here, and it's just sci-fi-ified. I think it was kind of funny because I watched this episode, I was working on the script a bit, and I literally said, I should do a little bit of research into this because I don't think I've seen a lot of people write about like this Star Trek character and neurodivergence. And then like the next day on Tumblr, someone wrote a 4-paragraph analysis of this character and neurodivergence.
Yeah, it's like, all right, you know, sometimes folks with neurodivergence, you know, have this sort of way of interacting with people around them, and this guy kind of vibes with that a little bit here, and okay, that makes sense, yes.
Yeah, so that was just funny. Anyway.
But we can go into more of the details next time, of course.
Yeah. So the next episode is the episode called Tin Man, not to be confused with Cowardly Lion or Scarecrow.
Yes. Wait, if I know who Tin Man is in this episode, but who in all of Star Trek would be the Cowardly Lion, and who would be the Scarecrow?
The Scarecrow is very obviously Data.
Yeah, he is thinking, but he seems to be a little detached often enough. Okay. The Cowardly Lion?
Who keeps hiding behind things? Someone's got it. Possibly
Barclay.
Quark.
Oh. So
yeah, I guess
Barclay,
we could do Barclay, but he's not introduced yet. That's the next episode.
Yeah. So we're getting the whole gang together here. So yeah,
I guess that could work because the couple of times that they do give Barclay any courage, he takes over the universe.
Behold my ultimate brain power! Or somebody else does. Anyway,
yeah, that's true. That'll be a while before we get to the giant floating head.
Giant floating head, you are so magical.
Yeah, but for next time, we have Tin Man. It's a giant floating hair follicle.
Oh, I thought it kind of looked like a moldy candy corn.
A little bit.
Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Moya's cousin spins a good donut. You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and follow Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Spreader, Digital Podcast, and perhaps many more to come. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And where possible, make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on youtube.com/Gepwin and Twitter @Gepwin. You may find me, Dr. Isix, on youtube.com/Dr. Isix and Twitter @IsixLP. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN. You can also check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. Make sure to share the experience with your friends, family, enemies, and alien overlords. If you feel you are suffering from transporter syndrome, please be aware that the next time you step off the transporter, that you, that is now, no longer exists.